Hello there, welcome back everyone. I gotta say, a lot has happened since I've got around to building this Guardian, hasn't it? I am now 10 turns away from my ultimate victory, and I haven't even gotten an opportunity to research the huge ship design tech. So, I'm in a big frantic rush to get a couple more ships designed up, I feel like. And now, with the phaser pods finally done, I can actually do I can actually build my Exterminator I've been hyping up the past few episodes, because I am looking forward to the successor to my Pulverizer. These things single-handedly won me the campaign, it feels like. They destroyed the Salins, they destroyed the Yor, they have been very powerful against the Krynn, but then again the Krynn were like a bunch of small ships, so they weren't really a threat so much. Really, after defeating the Salins, the campaign was pretty much at its end, because things start to snowball out of control there. So with that said, I am looking forward to building a successor. Although, it's kind of too little too late, isn't it now? So, hopefully, if nothing else, this will be for whoever decides to download the Kry'klon Expanse race or subscribe to them on Steam, to give them the opportunity to hopefully enjoy them. Because I'm sure as hell not going to get much of an opportunity, which is a bit of a shame, really. But here's what I have in mind, at least initially, for my ship. What I originally had concept of is, of course, very basic, similar design to the Pulverizer in the terms of the weapon itself, a big massive cannon in the front. But I'm going to have like multiples of them, at least two of them there, and then the core of the ship design, I think I want to try and roughly represent towards, what is it called, from Homeworld, the Titan Missile Destroyer. I just checked up, so I'm pretty certain it's called a Titan Missile Destroyer from the Homeworld RTS series. So, that is where my starting point is going to be. And other than that, I want to try and get the missile cannons all set up. So let me try and find the shell piece that I want. And we're going to try this a little bit differently too, because I'm not going to try and shrink them down if I can help it. I want to keep the scale up to a decent amount, so that way I have a lot more wiggle room, essentially, for like small, like the finer touches, basically, as we get near the end of this construction of the Exterminator. So, this may take a little bit of getting used to as a process, especially since I can't even see where the center point is, so I'm going to have to just hope that this fits what I'm looking for. Especially when the problem, of course, is I can't really just make a random copy of it. I'm going to have manually install a couple of them there, it feels like. Unless I can have them spread out enough that I can only have to make like 2 copies possibly. We'll have to wait and see. First off, it says scaling, or rather the Y scaling there should be cut in half about, so we're looking at 60 there. And that way, hopefully, I can like put a second piece in there and it should fit relatively well. It doesn't look like that works because of the width, so I'm going to bring it down to 75 on both ends, and then we'll see how that works. And adjust as needed. This will be our starting point. Of course, problem is it made everything too narrow again, so I need to find that sweet spot, I guess. Just not sure what that sweet spot is, because I can't quite remember how I did with the pulverizers. Maybe I should have looked at that beforehand. I'm just saying. Otherwise, let's connect. Actually, I don't need to connect it there. I could just rotate into place. Let's see, 90 degrees. We'll get into... Let me just get the set axis 10.1. And try to get it roughly in the same spot. I know it says scaling will be about the same. And regular scaling is 120. So, we got a little bit of work to do trying to adjust everything back up. But once we get this started, everything else should hopefully fall into place. A lot of the superstructure is probably the other thing that's going to take the most work, so... Let's see, 75 and 100, if I remember that correctly. Let's see, is that scaling? Yeah. Perfect, so We get to replicate there, put the 2 cans into place. Once I get the damn thing in the proper place. This will, like I said, this will take a little bit of getting used to. Or figuring out rather, not really getting used to there. Because this will need to be adjusted to kind of narrow it down quite a bit. And I can't remember exactly how I did it with the pulverizer, so that's going to be a bit interesting too. Because obviously, that's way too wide. So we're going to have to shrink it down a little more. Maybe I just go to 50 or 6. Actually, let me go back to 60. We'll try it with that and then put them together. And then if I need to put the x-axis back to 120, maybe that'll work better. It's also a question if I want to rotate it the other way or not. No, it still seems way too wide. How did I do with the pulverizer? I think I wanted a lot more narrower though. Oh, I think I kind of remember how. Because I had like the inner ring there, and this of course was more circular, which is also part of the problem. Which means I bring this down to 50, even though it looks odd. That should hopefully make it more circular, because the width there is about double that. Oop, it helps if I get the damn proper axis too. Let's do everything off, didn't it? I think it did, just a tiny bit. There, that looks a little better. A little off though. Now, how do I fix this? I think there was a bit of a rotation that I did as well with this. Just a tiny bit of a rotation. I might have to do 1 degree snap to try and figure this out. Because I know I had some issue with it, just a tiny bit. I just can't remember what. Okay, that looks relatively good. Already spaced enough to what I like. Is that too close? Is that too far? I think I want them farther away, just a little bit. And we'll see how that works. We'll move it by 1 scale offset, whatever you want to call it there. There we are. Let's see, slight awkward curvature, but hopefully a ring and a little bit of fine-tune will help fix that. So that's our starting point. Also, do I want to rotate this or not, actually? Although I probably should have thought of that before, shouldn't I have? Because that means a lot more work if I'm going to rotate this. Unless I could somehow connect them together, which I don't think it'll even let me rotate them if I were to do that. No, it won't let me group them, so never mind. Never mind, because they weren't connected to each other. They were connected to this centerpiece, so all that's left, I guess, is to move it forward. If I can do that. Nope, it won't let me. So let's move it up a good amount. Let's see. There's 6. So 8.9, so and that should, let's see, 8.96, so yeah, that should do it there. It looks like it did it. And that at least is a little bit further from the center point. This, well, it's going to take, like I said, I'm kind of half worried because I'm making this a larger scale that I might have camera issues on top of the fact that it might look that much bigger to larger size to my Guardian, which is a concern that I'm starting to have now. So, oops, no, I don't want to equip it just yet. This is not the completion of the ship. So now what you need is the side components I had in mind for like the Titan cruiser, because it had like 4 of these little components just sticking out from what the central missile batteries that it had on front. Since it is a missile destroyer, it did have like 4 of these really distinguishable kind of components sticking out. Mind you, these things are completely upside down for some reason as opposed to sticking out. But it's a starting point. Now, I don't know if I want to have 4 of them or not. That's something we're going to have to work with as we go. But They seem like they could fit relatively well to where it widens on the side here, possibly. We'll have to play with it and see, because scaling and all that's a factor. Hell, it's not even, sadly it's not possible to kind of make copies, which kind of stinks. I would have loved to have just 4 of them together there, that way it can just easily just manipulate all 4 of them at once. But it's not going to give me that luxury, is it now? Now it's the fun part of scaling this thing properly. Because I imagine most of this back piece is going to be completely hidden when I get to that point. So that's the hope anyway. So now we just got to figure out if this gets the right thickness and width that I want. And and more importantly, if I want to rotate it. I think I want to rotate 40, well it's already at an angle there, so I got to keep that in mind too. And I'm also rotating 1 degree. So it's going to slow it down a tiny bit. When I need to fine tune it, I'll go back to 1%. Okay, that's pretty good. I like the angle, it's just a matter of getting its placement right. And of course, the concern that that bottom piece doesn't stick out when we get near the end. So, how much do I want to sink in? I think that's relatively good. Now I gotta somehow remember. Now I just gotta replicate really. And try and do it quick manner, because I don't even remember where the hell I put this. But considering the fact this is backward, I think that helps signify this is the right spot. Just a little bit. Now, what is the scaling? 40, 68, 65. Can I remember that? Probably not. Especially when I'm trying to talk for the sake of the video. 40, 68, 65 was it? I'll have to double check. Yep, I got the measurements right. Now we just need the placements. Is the offset going to be the same for me? 4, 1, 4, 1, 3. And we'll see how that looks. Yeah, especially since this axis is a little bit off. Probably because it's upside down, actually. That might be why. 1 forward doesn't mean no, I don't need to move forward. And I need to rotate. So what's the rotation of this? Oh. And it's also off by a tiny angle. Let's see. 340. So 20 degrees it should be. It's not quite there. So it isn't the exact same placement I'm feeling, so I'm gonna have to wing it a little bit, I think. And it is sticking out a little bit more, so I can afford it going in a little. I just don't know if it's gonna stick out because of the different measurements, which is kind of partially the reason why I wished that I was able to just make 4 copies of them there. I probably could have if I really wanted to. Okay, that's not too bad. Just need to stick it a tiny bit more because it's inconsistent. Just a little bit. Hopefully that's good enough. Now we need some superstructure for this thing. And I'm still starting to wonder if it's too wide now, but I'll have to, if it is, I just need to adjust scaling. That's probably part of the reason. Just to make it a little bit longer and thicker, probably. Maybe that's what I want to do. We'll have to see. Again, these are distinguishing features, and they shouldn't have too much extra work required of them. That's the idea, anyway. The rest is going to be like superstructure and maybe a couple of cosmetic little quirks to it, to kind of make it a little more polished, because these textures are, after all, going to get stretched some, as it already is becoming apparent. Just want to make sure I got the right size I would like out of it. That looks like it might be too long, so we'll cut that down to 75 or 80-ish. There you go, 80. That looks a little bit better. At least it does it. At least that way I don't have to move it inward anymore, so that's good there. Now, time to connect the pieces together. What's the best way to do that? Ideally, I would love some kind of circular kind of piece in the middle there, not like a solid block. Now, what ways do we have to do that there? Could I just put this sideways? For like the front portion, is that an option? Or is that going to look odd? I'm going to have to do this little annoying little nuance to kind of center it, mind you, because of how it's established. But at least if this can represent a decent front piece, that'll be pretty good. It's going to be a bit of a nightmare making sure it's perfectly centered though, since it is connecting to the front or back, however it works. Now, can that give me what I want? Obviously not as big as it is, because the metal frame is a bit of an eyesore. So, and stretching out like that's again going to be annoying. Oops. Let me change the set axis there. So what's the best way to do this? I could shrink it down like that. I'm going to have to add more to it, obviously, but that helps mitigate a lot of the metal frame issue I'm having. Now I just gotta balance it out some more. That's pretty good. I think that's a good start. Still needs to be a little bit more centered, or adjusted a bit more. Still a bit of an annoyance trying to adjust that properly. Alright, let's see. It helps if I keep forgetting the axis I'm using. So one more. There, that got rid of the side metal frame almost entirely. There's still a tiny bit there, but I'm going to overlook that. How does it look on the side here? Sticks a little bit more on the left, but of course both the ends are a little bit different. So now, how can we continue to add more bulk on here? Because that's the solid component. I like that. Now I just gotta somehow thicken and widen it there some more. I'm not sure how exactly continue to proceed. Maybe I just put a block-like component behind it, and hopefully this rounded piece will help seem more fleshed out. I'm not sure. Oh, and this is sizes. I don't want sizes. I just want types. So, we have this component. This might be interesting. I'm curious to try this out and see. I'll have to flip it around, but I don't know what I expect of this component, because it can fit in there flush. It'll help get rid of the top metal frame, and if I make a copy of it in the bottom, maybe it can get rid of both. But can I make this work in a way that it kind of gives a natural girth or thickness to the ship design? Mind you, I really dislike this component with my Guardian because it seems like the textures are oversized. Because look at this metal frame. If you look closely, the texturing seems so much more of an eyesore compared to these metal frame here. Heck, even the shine's different for some reason. Not sure how that works. So I'm kind of want to scale it down to kind of keep that metal frame on par with the rest of the metal. Because it is a lot bigger than this too. Except for the front actually. So maybe I could get away with it some. That helped. That helped a little bit. I don't know if I want to lengthen it though. Do I make it longer? With proportional scaling, do I make this longer? Of course it has to stretch front outward. Now I have to readjust everything again. Hell. I kind of like it just right there, but I need to make... Now I just want to see if the back portion... Really, how long do I want? That's not bad. That's nice, flush and salt. A minor exception with the metal frame there, but hey, I'm hopeful I can fix it up as I add more to it. Nonetheless, it seems like a solid start. Still uncertain about how wide these two can components are, but next let's put the actual cans on there. I just can't remember what component did I use for my pulverizer. I want to see the front, because it's really the front of these things, so that blue lighting thing. It may have been this piece, but I want to check through all of them quickly, see that one could do... I think it was this component, but I'm concerned about the metal frame being like sticking out and all that. And of course this is a block, so I don't think I want that. Actually, let me just save this here. I just want to quickly check. And no, I don't want to call it the Intrepid. I already know what I'm calling this thing. This is going to be the first time I am going to go back to an older design just to see how exactly it did here. Let me find my pulverizer. I really am curious to see how I exactly did that, because doing this cam portion right is really important for what I want. So this is a little bit different for you, needless to say. Let's see, what component was this? Of course, it doesn't give me an easy way to click on it. Thanks a lot for that, you stupid chip. Getting jealous of the fact you're being replaced. Don't worry, Pulverizer, you're not being replaced. I just wish I knew how the hell... Where the hell is the component for this front? That's all I want. Yeah, there's the ring. That's what I fixed afterwards, right? So what the hell did I use for his front? Oh, really? It can't be that component, right? Oh, it's backwards. Oh, that explains it. Okay, I got my answer. A little bit of an odd way to figure it out, but hey. Oh god, don't tell me I have this backwards. It's best to figure it out now, I guess. But everything now needs to be inverted. So we're doing well for ourselves. Can I invert it all at once, though? Will it let me? No, it won't, so... Let's do this the hard way, shall we? Ah. That's fun. I think it's because it's attached? No. It's gonna be that game, is it? It's gonna be that way, huh? Just give me a few moments here. This is gonna be annoying, but hell, I'd rather figure it out now rather than what I happened to... What, I can't remember which ship it is I had completely backwards. I think it was actually my pulverizer, ironically enough. I don't know if that's the proper term, irony. But, considering this is a successor, I'm suffering from the exact same problem. Now I just gotta remember its placement, which is gonna suck a bit. Just a little bit. So I'm gonna have it connect to the end there, and that's... Okay, are we back on track? Let me just save to be certain. I don't want this paranoia haunting me for the rest of the series. Okay, we're good. We're good. Everyone calm down. Especially me. We're perfectly safe. Otherwise, it's a good start. I dislike this circular piece, but once I get that one component in that I was wondering about, I should be able to form it in around that relatively quickly. Now, I just gotta connect it to the right place. Actually, I'm gonna have to move this all forward there, because center point is too far. It's somewhere in the middle there. I might have to move everything forward now. So let's see, 6. So I'll just move it 6 grids forward. So 5.2. Let's see, 9.2. Or 10.2, I guess. Or is it 11? I'm an idiot. You think I would have figured out simple math. But I'm trying to multitask. I got my excuses. I'm trying to talk, build, and do math all at once. It's not an easy job, but someone's got to do it. Alright, that should help a little bit there. I have no idea where that block center point is, but I guess once I find... It still doesn't want to show, so somehow I guess I moved that as well. So I have no block center point, which is a bit weird. Ah well. At least this way I'll have 2 pieces maybe to kind of connect the two. Now I just gotta find a good connection point. Flip you around. Shrink you down and get you into place. And hopefully that will do with the majority of the front portion of the ship. Again, I'm already starting to see a bit of an issue, a little bit, with these components here. I'm gonna have to shrink everything down, or readjust it rather. And I think I just hit the mic there, so I apologize if that made a racket. Anyways, put you into place, get the scaling adjusted. Now, how do I do this that it doesn't have like this component sticking out like a sore thumb? That's gonna be my big concern. If I back it up, that'll help a little bit because then it just expands into the superstructure in the middle. Now, this is going to take a little bit of figuring out. Because now I gotta just scale it a bit more. Everything's gonna be shrunken and adjusted to compensate, which is never a fun thing, because that means I have to mess with everything else. Just like that. So, let me just go for it, commit to it, and then readjust. This is going to stink a little bit. Not really. Not really, because... yeah, actually it doesn't stick at all, then at least I can... well, it does stick out a little bit, never mind. So, I might have to move that just a tiny bit more. That looks good. Hopefully no one's the wiser. I just can't remember what problems I had with before. Probably because it was like facing upward or downward and there was enough superstructure there to kind of obscure it, to hide the fact. Just so it's sideways, so I have to deal with that a little bit. Also, I wonder if adjusting the set axis will help deal with my problem a little bit too. Anyways, I'm talking too much. What was that? 80-80. So that's 80-80, so how the hell am I getting 80-50? What is different about this? I do not know how that works. Probably because the set axis is... no, it can't be. Set axis looks like it's about the same there, so I'm completely lost. What the hell's going on? Alright, let me just shrink it down anyway, I don't care. I don't care. I don't know what's going on. What the hell I did wrong to mess it up like I did. Yeah, I think I need to move it back in there to kind of help cover up that component. I think I need 80-80 there. Although, that makes it way too big. What the hell? How the hell are these measurements so much different? Oh god. I'm creating a monster right now, and it's already rebelling on me. That's how you know when this ship is going to be a beast once it's finally built. Just my thoughts anyway. But, we're doing well. Just a little bit more adjustments once I get the right axis again as usual. And there. That's not too shabby. I don't know... well, again, this component needs to be centered a little bit more, and I do need... it's not quite there just yet. I don't think I can afford scaling up anymore though, because now it's threatening to stick out. I can at least adjust the set axis though to kind of hide the back portion, but everything else is going to be a bit of an issue, so this is not going to be as simple as I like to think it would have been. So there's still going to be more work involved. It's not too bad here, to an extent. I wonder, can I rotate that and it'll be decent? I wonder, even if I rotate 90 degrees, how would that look on the bottom? It reminds me a lot of how the pulverizer went. Is that what I want though, or actually do I go even more extreme with the rotation? Because that cannon there is still relatively centered, so that's not an issue. So how do I go all out? Let's see. Because that's not too terribly bad on the side. I think it shows a little bit of a misalignment though. Not to mention it is off axis a tiny bit. There. Not perfect, but not terrible either. So that's something I'm going to have to think about a bit. On the plus side, I can always rotate again if needed. If nothing else, I could just have it go downward. And stay down at the 90 degrees. To make sure... Why is this off axis? Let me just type this in. I didn't even know you could do that. And for some reason, it just put it to 0 for me. Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Galactic Civilization. I just want you to be at a 90-degree angle. I will think on that more, but I will just leave it as is and we'll adjust it accordingly. I'll just leave you 7.5 there and continue on with that.